In a development that has stunned fans, investigators, and media analysts worldwide, a previously missing 14-second segment from Yu Menglong's archived studio footage has reportedly been recovered, and early witnesses who viewed the clip say a single unexpected frame inside it is already rewriting what many thought they knew about the late actor's final hours. For months, digital specialists had publicly stated that the gap in the original file was due to compression loss or accidental corruption. But the sudden reappearance of the missing segment, confirmed today by a technical auditing team, has ignited a global surge of questions. Where did the 14 seconds go? Who restored them? And why does the recovered frame look nothing like the rest of the footage? This is everything known so far and why this 14-second rediscovery has become one of the biggest entertainment industry revelations of the year. According to internal memos from the Media Forensics Unit reviewing Yu Menglong's archival files, the missing 14 seconds were restored from a secondary backup path that was not previously documented in the studio's system. A senior technical source described the discovery as pure accident. "We weren't looking for a second backup because we didn't know one existed," the source said. "This wasn't in the metadata. It wasn't in the storage logs. It simply surfaced during a deep scan sweep we performed last week." What has baffled experts is not that the footage was found but how it survived at all. The original master file, recorded on a digital camera in Yu Menglong's studio room, had a continuous timeline except for the missing gap. All known backups contained the same void. Analysts long believed the gap was baked into every version from the moment of export. Yet the newly uncovered version contains the full timeline, including the 14 seconds everyone assumed were lost forever. One investigator familiar with the scan explained, "If this file came from the same camera stream, then logically the gap shouldn't exist here either. The fact that it doesn't means either the original export malfunctioned, or someone created multiple versions we didn't know about." No official explanation has yet been given. Sources who previewed the footage described the recovered segment as ordinary at first glance but unsettling on closer review. The segment shows Yu Menglong in a rehearsal space, adjusting lighting fixtures and repositioning a recording monitor. He appears calm, focused, and unaware the camera is still running. For the first 7 seconds, nothing unusual is visible. He checks a light stand, reaches toward a laptop on a desk, and glances once toward the main lens. But at the 8th second, something subtle shifts, not in Yu Menglong's behavior, but in the visual quality of the recording. "The color temperature suddenly dips," said one technician. "It doesn't match the lighting before or after the gap. It looks like the camera momentarily switched profiles, but only for a fraction of a second." Then comes the moment that has captured worldwide attention. At second 12 of the recovered segment, viewers have reported a single frame, lasting less than 1/30th of a second, that does not match the surrounding footage and appears to be from a different angle entirely. The unexpected frame shows a wider view of the studio room, a slight elevated angle as if from a second camera, and a figure partially visible in the far right corner behind equipment racks. Investigators stress that the figure is not identifiable, and the frame may be the result of digital artifact stitching, a glitch, or a misaligned timestamp from another recording track. There is currently no evidence the frame is deliberate or that multiple cameras were in use during the original recording. Still, experts say the anomaly is highly unusual. Within minutes of the first leaked description, social platforms ignited with millions of comments and theories. Some viewers believe the frame is a compression overlap pulling from an earlier rehearsal session stored in cache, a camera calibration jump that temporarily accessed metadata from another file, a multitrack ghost frame from an unlinked recording device, or simply a visual glitch caused by digital generation loss. Others insist that the presence of a figure in the corner suggests someone else may have been in the room, despite prior reports indicating the session was done alone. Investigators have not confirmed this interpretation. A spokesperson for the digital audit team emphasized caution: "People should not draw conclusions based on a single frame. We are analyzing whether it is an authentic part of the footage or a corrupted index reference." Studio diagrams from the day of the recording list only one camera, positioned directly in front of the rehearsal zone. But the unexpectedly recovered frame shows the room from a noticeably different angle, one not documented in any equipment log. This discrepancy has raised more questions than answers. A media systems engineer explained, "If that angle is real, then it came from a camera that wasn't in the official setup. If the angle isn't real, then the file has been spliced, corrupted, or auto-assembled in a way we've never seen before." Autoframe generation, where cameras briefly use predictive frames to stabilize footage, is not known to insert entirely different room perspectives. For months, the missing segment was treated as an unremarkable technical error. But now, with the segment restored and the anomalous frame discovered, experts are quietly re-evaluating whether the gap was an accident or something more complex. A specialist involved in the recovery effort summarized the issue bluntly: if the camera never stopped recording, then the original missing gap shouldn't have existed. If the gap did exist, but a version without the gap also exists, then we're looking at multiple pathways of file creation, and that needs to be explained. At present, no official claim suggests wrongdoing or manipulation, but the mystery lies in the inconsistency itself. Yu Menglong's fans have followed the release of each new clip, photo, and file with intense dedication, hoping for clarity and closure. This newly recovered footage doesn't answer the questions, it adds more. It matters because it adds contradiction to previously accepted digital timelines, suggests an undocumented version of the footage existed, introduces a visual element that has no technical explanation yet, and challenges the assumption that all known files were complete and final. Most significantly, it highlights how fragile digital evidence can be, especially when multiple copies and versions exist across devices, servers, and archives. Authorities and technicians are currently running frame-by-frame authentication on the recovered 14 seconds, testing to determine if the unexpected frame matches data from other files, comparing the recovered footage with cloud-stored versions, reconstructing the full timeline of how each archive was created, and analyzing whether metadata from other videos was mistakenly stitched in. The team is preparing to release an official explanation once the analysis is complete. Outside the technical world, the emotional reaction has been overwhelming. Hashtags related to the missing 14 seconds trended globally within hours. Hashtag Yu Menglong 14 seconds, hashtag recovered footage, hashtag unexpected frame. Viewers, particularly longtime fans, say they want transparency, not speculations, not fragments, but a complete, verified timeline. One fan wrote, "We don't need theories. We need clarity, and we hope this helps everyone understand what really happened in that room." Another added, "If there was a second angle, even if it's a glitch, we deserve to know how it appeared." Public interest is unlikely to fade soon, especially as media outlets continue to press for updates. Over the next several days, specialists are expected to release a preliminary report, examine whether the unexpected frame can be replicated, determine if the recovered segment came from a hidden cache or secondary export, and investigate whether other files contain similar anomalies. If the frame turns out to be a glitch, this case may be closed quickly. If it turns out to be authentic footage, the discovery could reshape the entire understanding of the final recording session. Either way, the recovered 14 seconds have already changed everything. The discovery of Yu Menglong's missing 14 seconds didn't just spark curiosity, it ignited a global frenzy. Analysts and fans alike spent hours replaying every millisecond, searching for details that had been hidden in plain sight. What was ordinary at first glance quickly became extraordinary upon closer inspection. Subtle movements, shadows, and angles that had been previously overlooked now appeared with startling clarity. In the recovered footage, even the smallest gestures, a hand brushing across a monitor, the faint tilt of a head, the shimmer of a studio light reflecting on the floor, took on new significance, as if the footage itself was trying to communicate something beyond what the eye could see. By the second day after the clip's leak, the online conversation had reached a fever pitch. Social media feeds were dominated by side-by-side frame comparisons, slow-motion breakdowns, and color-enhanced versions meant to highlight anomalies. Observers were struck by how, during those 14 seconds, Yu Menglong's movements were accompanied by a subtle flicker in the studio lights, barely perceptible, yet consistent. Technical analysts explained that this was not normal for the equipment in the room. In most studio settings, such minor fluctuations are rare and usually corrected automatically. The fact that the flicker appeared precisely during the recovered segment only added to the intrigue. Attention soon shifted to the single frame that had everyone talking. Analysts working on high-resolution extractions discovered that this frame, lasting less than a 30th of a second, revealed a perspective that should have been impossible. The camera angle suggested a slight elevation, offering a view of the studio layout from a position that no official recording device should have reached. In this frame, shadows appeared slightly distorted, hinting at a depth and layering of light previously unseen. While the figure in the corner remained unidentifiable, its mere presence raised questions about whether the room had been occupied by someone else or whether the recording device had captured an unintended reflection. Experts emphasized caution, but the suspense was palpable. Meanwhile, forensic video analysts were delving into the footage at a pixel level. By mapping every light source and movement, they began to notice an unusual rhythm to the studio's environment during the recovered seconds. Equipment reflected light differently depending on which side Yu Menglong was moving toward. Small details, a chair slightly out of place, a faint glint on a keyboard, even the subtle sway of the ceiling-mounted microphone, seemed synchronized with the frame containing the unexpected figure. These details, seemingly mundane in isolation, became part of a broader pattern that some media outlets began calling the studio's hidden choreography. Fans were equally meticulous. Within hours of the leak, online forums were alive with theories, ranging from plausible technical explanations to speculative scenarios about a second camera or a previously undisclosed studio layout. Many highlighted the precise timing of the 14-second recovery, noting it coincided almost exactly with the timeframe when the original footage had appeared corrupted months earlier. Others observed that certain lighting inconsistencies in the frame resembled patterns found in other archived videos, suggesting that the recovered footage might have been automatically reconstructed from multiple sources, whether intentionally or accidentally. Every observation fueled further speculation, and the footage became a focal point for enthusiasts eager to piece together a complete narrative. News organizations covering the recovery emphasized its significance not only for fans but also for the broader understanding of archival media in the digital age. Experts noted that the recovery underscored the fragility of digital recordings and the potential for anomalies to appear even in carefully monitored professional environments. In interviews, technical specialists highlighted the challenge of authenticating files that appear partially corrupted, partially reconstructed, and partially undocumented, stressing that the recovered 14 seconds represented a rare convergence of technical complexity and sheer luck. The response from Yu Menglong's fan community was immediate and emotional. For many, the discovery felt like regaining a lost fragment of history, a glimpse into a moment that had been missing from public view for far too long. Comments across social platforms reflected both excitement and caution. "We finally get to see him in that moment," wrote one viewer. "But that frame, it's like someone else is there, or maybe the room itself is telling us something." Another added, "I can't stop watching. Every time I replay it, I notice something new, the way the shadows move, the light shifts, even the way he adjusts his hand. It's like the studio has its own heartbeat." Technical teams also continued their analysis, focusing on whether the unusual frame could be replicated or explained. By comparing the restored 14-second segment against original camera logs, equipment specifications, and previous studio footage, they hoped to determine whether the frame represented an authentic secondary perspective or an artifact of digital reconstruction. Early findings suggested the frame could not have originated from the documented camera positions, raising the possibility that it was either a momentary glitch or a remnant from an undisclosed recording source. Analysts emphasized that no conclusion had been reached, leaving the frame's origins open to interpretation. Meanwhile, media coverage broadened, examining the implications of the discovery beyond technical curiosity. Industry commentators highlighted the importance of accurate archiving and the challenges of ensuring that digital assets remain reliable over time. In professional studios, even a few seconds of missing footage can complicate editing, distribution, and historical documentation. The recovered 14 seconds, with its anomalous frame, provided a real-world case study in both the strengths and vulnerabilities of digital preservation. As hours turned into days, the public fascination only intensified. Social media videos showcased slowed-down analysis, color-enhanced extractions, and frame-by-frame comparisons, often drawing millions of views. Commentators speculated whether the unusual frame could be linked to a minor equipment misalignment, a reflection off an overlooked surface, or some unknown factor entirely. Every possibility fueled further discussion, highlighting how a seemingly brief and minor segment could dominate global attention. Despite the intense scrutiny, one fact remained clear: the recovered footage, while brief, had renewed interest in Yu Menglong's work and legacy. The 14 seconds provided a tangible reminder of the actor's meticulous approach and the environments in which he created. Observers noted how even subtle movements, adjustments, and expressions captured during the recovered segment reflected the same dedication that had defined his career. For many, the footage was less about mystery and more about connection, a fleeting, detailed glimpse into a professional space frozen in time, now partially restored for public observation. Investigators and technical teams pledged to continue their work, promising updates as analyses of the frame and the segment progressed. The goal remained clear: authenticate the recovered footage, determine the origins of the anomalous frame, and ensure that the restored segment is preserved correctly for future study. Meanwhile, the public remained captivated, dissecting every second, replaying every motion, and sharing observations in real time. Each discovery, no matter how subtle, was celebrated, discussed, and debated. The recovered 14 seconds may be brief, but its impact is anything but small. It has reopened questions about archival integrity, technical anomalies, and the process of digital recovery. It has reminded fans, analysts, and professionals alike that even a few seconds of footage can carry extraordinary significance. And for the world watching, it has transformed a moment once thought lost into a renewed source of fascination, scrutiny, and engagement, keeping both the story and the legacy of Yu Menglong